Buildabot.
This is Soundbox with Buildabot. Today's Buildabot we have Optimus Prime. So you've seen Optimus Prime quite a bit in many of my videos. He's been built for quite some time, but I did do a little adjusting to him in order to give him better articulation and make him a little more improved. So you could almost say this is Optimus Prime Advanced. What do we have here? 3 Lego men cooking by a campfire? This is why I call it the frying pan piece. I used a black one just because it looks more like a frying pan. But basically, it has a stem that can be held by a Lego man. It has a stud on one side, an anti-stud on the other, and it's circular. So it can be used for many different things. It could be used as for handheld signs. But when there's no studs connected other than that, it looks very much like a frying pan. So that's why I call the one stud circular plate with a stem sticking out of it the frying pan piece. So here we have him with all of his accessories. And then here we have him holding his Energon axe and plasma rifle. And then here he is showing off the matrix of leadership in his chest. Today, we are going to build this version of Optimus Prime. Start this portion with a light gray bar piece with 2 stud plate on it and a 2 stud plate with 2 hand pieces. In addition, we have a jumper plate that's also light gray and a U-shaped stud plate, 1 stud plate, and then a 1 stud block with studs on the sides, on all sides of it. And then we have a 1 stud square blue translucent piece, a 2 stud smooth plate, and 2 3 stud L plates. And those are all blue pieces. We are going to take the 2 hand clip and clip it to the bar piece. Then we'll add the jumper plate on top of the bar piece. And we'll put the 1 stud block on top of the 1 stud of the jumper plate. Next, we'll place that translucent piece on top of that. And we'll place the 2 stud plate on the back stud of the 1 stud block. Then we're going to take that U-shaped 1 stud flat plate, turn it upside down, and place it on the front stud. This will give it a look of a mouth plate, a face mouth plate, Optimus Prime's face plate. Then we'll take the 2 L pieces, and using the corner anti-stud, we're going to hook it onto the side studs of the 1 stud block. 1 on the right and 1 on the left. And now we have Optimus Prime's head. We have a square 1 stud yellow translucent piece, a square 1 stud light gray hand piece, a 1x4 stud red flat plate, 2 1x1 square studs, 2 dark red round 1 stud pieces, 4 little flat 1x1 plates, a hand with a stem that's light gray, and a pin with a stem and a stud end that is light gray, and a 1x1 brick with side studs on 2 of the sides. Now, instead of using 3 flat 1x1 plates, you could use a 1x3 plate. I just did not have any available, so I did it this way. First, we'll take the 1x1 light gray hand piece and put it on top of the 1x1 yellow translucent piece. Then, we'll take the 1x4 red plate and put it on top of the hand. And then hook the 1x1 red stud square to the bottom of it. We will then take the 1x1 square plate and put it on the stud on top of the 1x4. We'll do that with the next one and the next one, making the top of the 1x4 flat and smooth. Then we'll take the dark red round 1 stud piece and place it on the open stud on the 1x4 piece. And then put the other red round stud on top of that. And then put the square red 1 stud piece on top of that. And now put the 1 stud brick on top of that, with the 2 side studs sticking out to the sides. And the 1x1 plate, the last one, on top of that. So now we will rotate to the side. You'll notice I have this little laser blaster here. This is actually from a minifigure Transformer Creon. This is made by Creo. I like the way it looks. It looks good as a smokestack for Optimus Prime. So you just insert the handle stem into the hole on the outside of the side stud piece, and you have the arm with the smokestacks. I think that looks great as a smokestack. However, I do understand that there are Lego purists that do not like using pieces like Creo and other pieces, and these Creo blasters and pieces are probably hard to get now that Creo is not a big thing. So we'll show you how to build a smokestack with some Lego pieces. We take the little hand piece with the stem and place the stem in the opening on the outside of the stud on the side stud piece, and then take the pin and stem piece and slide it through the top with it sticking up, and now you have Optimus Prime's arm and smokestack. We have a square 1 stud yellow translucent piece, a square 1 stud light gray hand piece, a 1x4 stud red flat plate, 2 1x1 square studs, 2 dark red round 1 stud pieces, 4 little flat 1x1 plates, a hand with a stem that's light gray, and a pin with a stem and a stud end that is light gray, and a 1x1 brick with side studs on 2 of the sides. First, we'll take the 1x1 light gray hand piece and put it on top of the 1x1 yellow translucent piece. Then we'll take the 1x4 red plate and put it on top of the hand, and then hook the 1x1 red stud square to the bottom of it. We'll then take the 1x1 square plate and put it on the stud on top of the 1x4. We'll do that with the next one and the next one, making the top of the 1x4 flat and smooth. Then we'll take the dark red round 1 stud piece and place it on the open stud on the 1x4 piece, and then put the other red round stud on top of that, and then put the square red 1 stud piece on top of that, and now put the 1 stud brick on top of that with the 2 side studs sticking out to the sides, and the 1x1 plate, the last one, on top of that. So now we will rotate to the side. Little hand piece with the stem, and place the stem in the opening on the outside of the stud on the side stud piece, and then take the pin and stem piece and slide it through the top with it sticking up, and now you have Optimus Prime's arm and smokestack. Here we have a 2x2 slope piece that ends in 2 studs that's blue, and we have a blue 2 stud plate and a blue 2 stud smooth plate and a 2x2 stud plate, and we have another light gray bar piece and a 1x1 square stud dark gray piece, 2 1x2 blue upward facing hand pieces, a folded over piece that puts studs on the side that's black with 2 studs, and then 2 round black studs, 1 dark gray eye piece, 1 elongated black pin with the 2 length of the pin, and then the thicker area for something to connect on the other side. And then we have a 1x2 light gray piece with a little mini bar in it for the hand to clip to. We also have a pin holder hole piece that's on the bottom of a 2-stud piece. And we have this curved angled piece that's usually used for cars. So we're going to take our slope piece and turn it to the side so we can see the bottom. We'll hook our flat 2-stud plate to the bottom of the slope piece. Then we'll take our 2x2 flat stud plate and hook that to the bottom. You'll notice it sticks off a little bit. This will make stability for the foot to stand. It'll also hide some of the parts in transformed mode. Then we'll take the light gray 2-stud bar piece and place it on top of the slope piece. Then we'll take 2-stud smooth plate and place on top of that. And now we have a foot. From here, we're going to take that 1x2 stud blue upward facing hand piece and we're going to hook it to the bar so that the anti-studs are facing forward. Then we're going to take the folded over black piece and on each of the side studs we're going to put one of these 1-stud round pieces. And that kind of looks like wheels or tires. And we're going to take that folded over piece and hook it to the back on the studs on that hand piece. Then we are going to turn it around and take the other blue hand piece and hook that on top of the folded over piece. Then we take the square gray 1 stud and put it on the back on that. And then the sloped angled piece over that stud, and now we have a smooth calf for the back of the leg. The gray 1x2 mini bar piece is going to be hooked to the hand with the anti-studs facing forward. Then we're going to take the eyepiece and hook it to the bottom stud on the back side, which would be the top of that 1x2 mini bar piece. And that forms the gas tank on the side of the thigh. Now we'll take the pin and the pin holder, and we're going to push the pin in through the pin holder so that the extended part goes all the way through. Then we are going to take and place that on the front of that light gray piece, which will make the completion of the leg. And here we have Optimus Prime's leg. Now we will build the other leg. To build this leg, we will start the same way. Put the 2-stud piece on the bottom of the slope piece and then the 2x2 stud piece. Then we'll hook that little bar piece on top of the slope and the smooth blue plate on top of that. Next we'll clip the 1x2 hand with the anti-studs forward, and now we'll place the folded over studs on side piece onto that hand. But this time the folded over side will be facing the left instead of the right. And then we'll place each black 1 stud onto that. And then we'll place the other blue hand piece on the back and the little gray 1 stud square and the curved piece. This time the curved piece will be facing the other direction. And then we'll take the mini bar 1x2 gray piece and hook it to the top with the anti-studs facing forward. We'll hook the eyepiece on the back of it again, only so that the gas can is on the left side. And then we'll push the pin into the pin holder and place that piece on the front. And now the other leg is complete. For this part we have 2 dark gray sloped grate pieces, and we have 2 1x1 square red studs, 2 1x2 red stud plates and a 2x2 light gray stud plate. Plus we have a 2x2 dark gray block. And we have a folded over piece which is 2 studs on the top and 4 studs on the side going upward. And finally we have a 2x2 stud flat piece with a pin hole in the bottom to hold the pins. So we'll bring the block forward and we'll bring the 2x2 light gray plate forward. We add the plate piece on top of the block. Now we'll bring that folded over piece and add the block on top of that. So that way the 4 studs on the side are in the front. Then we'll take the 1x2 red piece and place it under the dark gray block. Now we'll take that pin holder piece and place that on the bottom, sealing the bottom together. Then we'll start taking our red 1 stud pieces and place them on the front. And then we'll place the 2 stud piece above that. Now you could do this with a singular 2x2 stud plate if you wanted to. But I use these just because they were the pieces at hand and because they kind of give like a dividing line in there. So it looks like there's more division underneath the hood. So anyways, then we put on our wedges. And we have Optimus Prime's stomach. Now unfortunately, flat hinge plates are hard to come by. So I don't have any red ones. So for this part, I use the blue flat hinge plate. But it would be ideal if you have a red one. It would look way better. Then I have a 1x2 stud transparent block, a 1x1 stud blue translucent block, 3 1x2 stud red plates, a 1x4 stud red plate, and a 3 stud L-shaped red plate. Plus we have a rounded 1x2 stud piece and a 1 stud circular piece plus that trusty frying pan piece. So we take the transparent piece and place it on top the front of the hinge piece. Then we place a red 1x2 on top of that and another one. Then we turn the hinge piece and take that black rounded 1x2 piece and place it on the stud closest to the hinge on the back of the hinge piece. Then we take the translucent blue piece and place that on the first stud. Then on the second stud we place the rounded 1 stud piece, and the frying pan piece, the stem is sticking out perpendicular to the structure. Then we take the other 1x2 red plate and place it on top the frying pan piece so that the plate is going inward, so only 1 stud is on top of the frying pan piece. Then we take our 3 stud L-shaped piece and place it on top. Note that we place it so that 2 of the studs are closest to the front of the build and 1 stud is closest to the back. And finally, we connect it to the 4 stud plate via the second anti-stud part of the black rounded piece. So here we have the same setup as before. We have that blue hinge piece, but we're going to face it the opposite direction. We have the transparent 1x2 block, the 3 1x2 red plates, the 3 stud L piece, the 2 stud black rounded piece, and the translucent blue 1 stud block, and the gray round 1 stud plate, and the frying pan plate. Likewise, we're going to put the transparent piece on the front, and then we're going to add the 1x2 red piece to the top of the transparent piece, and then a second one. Then we rotate sideways, put our black rounded piece on there, and then our translucent 1x1 block on that. Then we'll take the round one stud, place that on the back stud, and then the frying pan piece on that. Then the 1x2 red, just one stud on top of the frying pan stud. The other stud is free hanging in the back. And now we'll take that L and place it on top with two studs in the front, one stud in the back. Now we take the piece we just built and we place it onto the other side of the stud on that 1x4 piece. Now we've built the chest. We rotate it around. We can see how it looks from the back. Now we take that piece we had just built prior to that and we connect them. The stomach to the chest, connecting from the bottom. Make sure that the studs are connected to the red and the back part of the hinge piece because you want the front part to be able to open. Then we bring in those two legs we made, and you see how those pins are sticking through. Well, we're going to stick those one by one in the pin ports on the bottom of the body. And now we can see he's starting to come together. We then bring in those arms that we built way back in the beginning steps, and you can see that the side stud has a hole in it so that the stem from the frying pan piece can fit into the hole. 1 and 2. Now we have his arms. And now for the head. Now we bring the head in, and it was on that hinge that was made out of the clip and bar piece. We take that and we hook it to the top in an indented space created by those 1x2 red pieces. His head will hang off the back a little, but this is important for transformation. And now we have built Optimus Prime. So here we have a black cheese wedge, a black hand with a stem, and a black telescope looking piece. We take the little hand piece and hook it on the thinnest part of the telescope piece. Then we take the cheese wedge and attach it to the smaller end of the telescope piece on the stud. Now we have Optimus Prime's Plasma Blaster. Optimus Prime's Energy Axe. This is made by an orange triangular trapezoidal piece, two translucent orange plates, a yellow two-hand clip with two studs, a gold stem piece. Most of these stems are gray, so if you have gray, that works too. I also have a translucent one stud piece, which is not necessary, but I found it and it looks good on the build. And then two orange translucent cone pieces. We take the two-hand piece and hook it to the underside of the trapezoid piece. Then we take one of the translucent plates and place it on the two studs on the bottom. Then the other one on the two studs next to it. And we clip the clips onto the stem. There's a little block on the stem that makes a good divider. So if you put that right between the hands, that way the axe head will not move up and down. Then we take the one stud piece and look at it. It's a round one stud with a circle cutout. This will fit on the end of the stem, so we put it right on top. Then we take our two cone pieces and put them together, one on top of the other, and slide them both up the stem. And now we have Optimus Prime's Energy Axe. Now we'll build the Matrix of Leadership. To make the gray handles around a yellow ball with a glowing center, what we do for this tiny Lego build is I take a simple light gray jumper piece and a round one stud yellow piece and a round one stud translucent blue piece. We put the translucent blue piece on the yellow piece and then that on top of the jumper plate. Now when you look at it from the front, it looks like the Matrix with two handles, the yellow rounded body, and the blue glowing center. The reason we used hinge pieces on Optimus Prime's chest is so that it can open. This way we can actually place the Matrix inside his chest. Here we have a fully built Optimus Prime. Let's begin to transform him. First, we'll rotate his hands around. Then we'll rotate his shoulder back and rotate on the stud friction his forearm into the side of his body. On the other side, same thing. Using stud friction, we rotate the hand around. And then using that frying pan piece, we rotate his arm back at the shoulder. And then his forearm rotates into his side. Next, we rotate his head around and fold it downward behind his back. Then we rotate his feet, and we also carefully slide the feet together and rotate his legs up underneath his cab. And here you have Optimus Prime in truck mode. And here he is with all of his accessories. If you like these Lego Transformers videos and want to see more, I have many more on the way. So please subscribe to get the latest and greatest updates on Lego Transformers that I've built. If you like this video, comment, tell your friends about it that like Legos or like Transformers. Thanks for watching.
Swindle, you need a lift? Let me get rid of these people. Sure do, Vortex. Oof.
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 Hello, yeah, we need a ride.
I hunger.